Nirvana, and welcome, friends, to the 7th episode of the Lord of the Rings podcast, the only Tolkien podcast the professor himself would dismiss as juvenile and crass. I am Dan Zerby, here with my co-host and good friend Sean Kelly, and we will together be discussing the writings, adaptation, news, and anything else involving the works of J.R.R. Tolkien in a matter we're quite confident he would not approve of. Hi, how's it going today, everybody? How are you, Sean?
Is everybody me? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're the only one listening in, unless you got a secret producer that I don't know about.
Yeah, Jeremy's just sitting right over my shoulder here, listening in on everything but not commenting. So
yeah,
hi,
is
Jeremy.
Not helpful. Hi, fake Jeremy.
Yeah, everything's good. I was gonna ask you, how's your tattoo doing?
Oh yeah, my tattoo it's been fully healed for a little while now. I'm very happy with how it came out. I had a couple months ago, I had a cover-up tattoo done. I years ago got a free Celtic knot tattooed on my right arm.
Nothing like a free tattoo.
Yeah, well, someone has to learn, and they're not going to charge in case they screw it up. And it was not screwed up, but
yeah, it was well executed.
It was
not what you wanted.
It was fine. Yeah, I just didn't really want that particular tattoo anymore. So I had the cover art from the first edition of Lord of the Rings that Tolkien himself drew tattooed over it as a cover up, and it looks awesome. I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I think it looks good.
Thanks. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'd like to get some kind of Tolkien related tattoo, but I'm not sure what.
Right.
I'd probably get something related to the Dunedain, but there's not a lot of confirmed symbology or anything there.
I think you mean symbolism.
No, I was talking about the Dan Brown study of symbols. But
you get some angels and demons tattooed on it.
Yeah, but it's somehow Tolkien related.
Yeah,
I'll get some Maiar and stuff like that tattooed on me.
Yeah, some wizards and Balrogs maybe.
I was thinking more like along the lines of like Bilbo's face from the movie, like tattooed on my butt cheek. When he goes to take the ring.
Yeah. Just Martin Freeman looking unsettled on your ass.
Yes, I think that's more in line with what Tolkien would have been interested in. So.
Oh yeah, he was I'm sure a tattoo guy for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, I'd be willing to get like a Gollum down on my butt cheek if I don't know, we can set some milestone, like hopefully an unachievable one. Let's say like 100,000 followers or subscribers or whatever, and I'll get
right. Yeah. Oh man, yeah. We'll get tattoos of whatever listeners, as long as we have a large enough. That's an incentive just for people to listen to the podcast.
Yes. I can't wait for this person that I've never seen to get a tattoo on their ass of Gollum or something.
Well, there's no point putting it off.
Yeah. we all know what's coming now.
Before. Yeah, if you've heard our show before, you know what's about to happen. It's time to pop on our dunce caps and head on over to Corrections Corner.
You can hear my shameful shuffling from here.
Yeah. I'm just going to go to my show notes so I can read all of the corrections that we have for today. We actually have a few more than we usually do because we have some real ones.
Yeah. Well,
Sean, do you want to start us off?
Yeah. So this one was expected. So I did a little research. Turns out Tolkien did not, in fact, invent emojis.
Yeah,
that sounds as ridiculous as it sounds for the professor of languages himself to have not invented emojis. Turns out they were invented in 1999 by Shigetaka Kurita.
Japanese fella, eh?
Yeah.
Who would
Or
have
like,
guessed that the
or
word
a phone.
emoji?
Yeah, I don't think Tolkien had a cell phone.
It does not seem likely.
You know, we can
The man struggled with a typewriter.
yeah, I think we could pretty confidently say he didn't, but if you care to explore that
Yeah.
in your fun fact at the end of the episode, you can do a little quick research. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that was honestly baseless and false, and for that
Yeah.
I submit myself to punishment in the corner of correction.
Yeah, we're still waiting on your emails, everybody. So I'm
Oh
sure if yeah.
yeah, I'm sure we'll have more to correct after. But speaking of
Yeah.
which,
Yeah,
uh,
I have a couple of my own. I made a few mistakes last episode.
I
So
was involved in one of them as well.
yes,
But yeah,
it was both of us this one. So we were talking about how it would have been a really bad idea for Sam or Frodo to put the ring on and the passive Kirith Ungol. Um, and Sam does exactly that thing once he thinks Frodo has died and he hears the orcs coming.
I submit it's still a bad idea. That
Yeah,
I don't think
it
we were wrong
still was.
about.
Yeah, I mean, it did work out, but yeah, you could argue that it wasn't the best decision,
Yeah,
especially since he had his elvish cloak on and he's a hobbit, uh, so
he's
they're pretty
stealthy
good at
enough.
being unseen. Yeah, but so yeah,
Mhm.
Sam does in fact put the ring on on the steps of Cirith Ungol. So, and the other correction we had is that I think I said that Tom Shippey was the person who edited and put together letters by J.R.R. Tolkien, but I was incorrect. That is Humphrey Carpenter, and I highly recommend you picking up that book. It's really interesting. There's a lot of really cool things. Tolkien really goes into a lot of stuff about the Legendarium. He answers like fan letters and questions that they have, and you also get to see a bit of his personality, which is very fun. He had a way
Yeah,
with words.
he certainly did. But I mean,
Yeah.
his voice is comes through a lot in those letters, and he was
Yeah,
very
and his very
entertaining.
strong opinions.
Yeah.
He was a pretty opinionated fella, and I can even think, some of the things that he says. I'm like, I think this guy might have been a bit of a contrarian, which I appreciate as a bit of a contrarian myself.
Yeah, Serby, I realize you have a lot in common with the professor in some ways.
Yeah, yeah. There's a few things, and then there's a lot of things I do not have in common with the professor.
Yes, but yeah, certain philosophies, I would say.
There are a few things there for sure. Yeah.
So
So that
I
does do
think,
it for corrections corner.
yeah, I think we can
As
doff
far
the
as we know,
caps.
those are the only
And
corrections that we know we had to make.
I'm sure there's more
There's
lurking in
probably a couple
the.
more, but those are the ones we caught.
They're lurking in the eaves. So
This is why we need fan engagement. So remember to send your emails to Lord of
just
the
keep
Wrongs
us in
podcast.
check.
Yeah, just send us an email at the Lord. Excuse me, just Lord of the Wrongs podcast at gmail.com.
There we go.
Yeah.
So I thought we'd kick things off for our theme today with a little bit of a quiz, Zerby.
Uh-oh. A pop quiz? Oh, geez.
Don't pretend like you
Louise.
don't like it.
We'll see how I do, actually. And I'll decide whether
I have a
it or
feeling
not.
you're going to do just fine here. It's
Should I cover my show notes?
I don't think you'll need them, but if every pop quiz was about Tolkien growing up, I think you probably would have liked them more now.
Yeah, although to be fair, growing up, I probably wouldn't have done very well because I really didn't become this big of a nerd until, really in the last 5 years. Yeah, well, was I? If I hadn't read through The Lord of the Rings yet?
Yeah, that's true.
Was I really a man?
Let's not belittle half our audience, sir.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry.
all right, I've got
Okay, if you haven't read it, it's okay.
I've got
Men
a
or
series of
women.
questions. All right, stop digging yourself a hole. I got a series of questions for a quiz game, I guess I'm calling true, false, or true for some but not all.
Oh God.
Yes,
Making
nice
me
and
anxious.
complicated. So the Istari is what we're talking about today.
Yes,
The
indeed.
wonderful wizards there were.
Nice alliteration.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
thank you, sir. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Uh, so I figured I'd just ask a couple of, pitch a couple over the plate to you to
Right.
set the tone and get a little info in the process. So
All
let's
right.
start off
Fire
with
away.
probably the easiest one. The Astari are Meyer.
True.
Yeah.
Wait, was that the whole thing?
Yeah, that's it. The
Okay,
Astari
yeah,
are
true.
Meyer. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I knew
They
that.
we've discussed this before.
Yeah, we've talked about the Maya.
They are effectively the angels of Tolkien, and they were sent to Middle Earth to help us out.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, next question.
All right.
The Istari did their jobs.
True for one, but not for all.
Yes, yeah, true for some, but not all.
Why don't we have drops right now? I would just love to hear a ding, ding, ding right after that.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I could just kind of. I'll do the ding, ding, ding for the next one if you get it right.
If I get it right.
Yeah, so Gandalf is the only one who really stuck to his task and
truly
accomplished.
Succeeds.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
And that's why we love him so much. Part of the reasons.
One of the many.
In a similar vein, true, false, true for some, but not all. The Istari are given rings of power.
True for one, but not all.
And once again, Gandalf. Ding, ding, ding.
Thank you.
Yes, I almost forgot. Almost forgot. Yeah, Gandalf
has the Elvish Ring of Fire.
Yes.
Narya.
Because Círdan, one of the oldest elves out there,
such an old elf that he actually has a beard. Little fact.
Yeah,
I think the only elf described as having a.
I'm sure it was rakish. That's how I'm thinking of it. I'm imagining it like a Doctor Strange sort of ensemble.
Yeah. I think he's got Iron Man facial. He's got Tony Stark facial.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. It's got some wild geometry to it. Yeah. So he's given a ring of power, but it's because he's the only one who deserved it. I mean, once again, falling off the last one because he did his job.
Yeah, he sure did. Everyone else failed.
Yeah, pretty miserably in some cases. So
yeah, indeed. We'll get into that in a bit.
And my last question here: the Istari formed a power metal band, the Whiz Kids. True, false?
I mean, really, we don't know that none of them were in a band, so it's possible that they were. But as far as the writings go, I would say false.
Ding, ding, ding! It is false. Yeah, well done, Serby.
Thank you.
Christopher Lee was in a band, but Christopher Lee was in a band, but I don't think the Wizards. Certainly, if they were in a band, it was not formed, as five together as a group. Unfortunately.
Yeah. It's too bad. It'd be pretty awesome. It'd be a great name, by the way, Whiz Kids.
Yeah, thank you. I just thought of that.
It's pretty great.
So with that, I guess we can get into the actual information about
not this fake prog rock band.
Yeah, well, we know there wasn't one. So if we just slowly go through everything that they didn't do and has nothing to do with them, we can just process of elimination inform everybody. But it might be easier to just sort of describe them from the get-go here.
Yeah.
So you want to take it away?
Sure, yeah. All right, so the Istari. Now, the word canonically, wizard, comes from Istar, which means wise one or wizard. So in the year Third Age 1000, Manwë which you might remember as the king of the Valar, learns of Sauron's return. At the end of the Second Age, he kind of, well, you know what happens if you've seen Lord of the Rings at the very beginning. He gets his butt kicked by Elendil, Gil-galad, and Isildur. But Manwë learns of Sauron's return in near Third Age 1000, and he decides to put together a team.
An elite team.
Yeah, you might think of them as the Expendables of Middle Earth.
I'm picturing the scene from the yes, and just as quality a team. I'm picturing the scene. I mean, I know they did a bit on it in Rick and Morty, but the "you son of a bitch, I'm in," and they're doing the predator handshakes all across.
Yeah.
What that was?
You son of a bitch, I am in.
Was that Ocean's 11 or something? I don't even remember.
Yeah, they were making fun of just heist movies in general
in
that episode, but yeah.
So they're going on a heist. Okay, that's hang on.
Sorry. Now we're getting our wires crossed here. Okay, so Manwë decides to put a team together and basically asks for a couple volunteers from the Maiar to go to Middle Earth to try to combat Sauron. And there are really only two volunteers initially. One is a Maya by the name of Kurumo, who would later be known as Saruman. The other was a Maya known as Alatar, who would become one of the Blue Wizards. Now you might be wondering, what about the other ones? There's 5. That's correct. Manwë specifically asked for a Maya named Olorin to go. And Olorin, we will eventually learn to know his name as Gandalf, a.k.a. Mithrandir, a.k.a. the Grey Wanderer, a.k.a.
Gandalf Greyhame.
Yeah, what do the dwarves call him? Probably starts with a K. And something.
Yeah. Dwarves love their
Tharkoon. Tharkoon is what the dwarves call Gandalf. And when Manwë requests this of him, he says, I don't really want to do that because he feels he is weak and he is afraid of Sauron. And Manwë tells him that's exactly why you should be going. Just like your mom saying you have to try new things.
It's like, come on, go get your galoshes on. We're going out.
It's like, you'll be fine. You can do this.
You can fight Sauron.
Yeah.
Just like every mother tells their kid, you could take on the Dark Lord. Just got to get out of bed.
You just have to believe in yourself. Yeah, you have to try.
Just a disclaimer. Yeah, you can't take on the Dark Lord.
I really wouldn't recommend it unless
don't send your kids to do that either, unless they're Maiar.
Yeah, or perhaps the lost king of an ancient realm, you know. And then maybe
I guess he was probably told that.
A chance, perhaps. But, yeah.
But yes, for most of us out there, don't try to take on any Dark Lords.
Yeah, any of them. Of the many out there. So that leaves us with 2 more wizards. What are the other 2 wizards? Well, Alatar is basically told, you can bring a friend. So he gets his buddy Palando. And
they just kind of screw off. And I mean, they're together the whole time. So I guess they were buddies. Yeah,
I mean, so they go far east. And we don't know what... We don't know what happens to them. We know they didn't succeed in their task, but
we'll circle back to them. But
we'll talk about them a little bit more later. So the last wizard, of course, is a Maya known as Iwendil. Once he arrives in Middle Earth, known as Radagast.
The guy who we saw with the giant rabbits and the poop on his head in the
Hobbit films. Yeah, I feel like as silly as Radagast may be, I still feel like they did him a little bit dirty.
That was maybe a touch too silly.
Yeah, it was a bit much. Yeah, the sledge pulled by rabbits and such was a little silly, but kind of cool. I didn't hate that part actually. But
yeah, that part I didn't hate. Maybe the bird living in his hat was weird. But anyway.
Yeah, and having a pet hedgehog named Sebastian, that was a very odd...
great name for a hedgehog. Weird
but weird in
angle
Middle-earth,
for
yeah.
the
Yeah,
character.
it was all very strange. Anyway, so Radagast goes by request of Yavanna. Now, you might remember Yavanna, wife of Aule, she is the Vala who created all of the birds, beasts, plants, and all the plants and animals, all the flora and fauna on in Middle Earth. She created, and she requested Karumo Saruman to bring along Radagast. And
Yeah,
even
I
if,
guess it's worth mentioning that they were all disciples of different
yes,
Valar.
yes, indeed.
So Radagast was Yavanna's disciple.
Right.
Olorin was Manwë's, and Kurumo.
Olorin was actually Nienna's.
Oh yeah, well, I think he was wasn't he under Manwë, but he like spent time with Nienna.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. You're right. You're absolutely
Yeah,
right. I apologize. Yeah, that's
and
correct.
so he was sort of a Maya of the skies and stuff, but he
Yeah,
spent a lot of time with Nienna in the gardens and things like
yeah.
that.
She taught him
So
to cry.
yeah, basically, or at
Well,
least be merciful.
yeah, she taught him mercy and pity. I mean, and that's the most important part of that.
Yeah,
Um,
and Kurumo Saruman studied under Aule.
yeah. Interestingly, a Maya that also studied under Aule, Sauron.
Yeah. Hmm.
They
Birds
both
of a
go
feather and
stray.
all
Yeah, isn't that
that.
interesting? That yeah.
Yeah. And well, I guess we
I don't
can.
think it's a fault of Aule, but
No, it's. I think
but it is an
it's.
interesting coincidence.
Well, at least in Tolkien, I think loving progress for progress's sake, and being too obsessed with tinkering and
Yeah, it
uh,
can go too
just
far. Yeah,
yes, it's easy in his world. It's seen as like a fault, really, and so
yeah,
Saruman basically becoming too prideful, and I guess in a way, Gandalf learned pity, and Saruman just completely stopped pitying the free peoples. He just didn't care
yeah. I
about
mean,
their struggle anymore.
he didn't. He didn't even have pity for Radagast. I mean, he was really irritated that he had to bring along this spirit that he speaks very harshly of in the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
Radagast the fool, Radagast the bird tamer.
yeah, and obviously he didn't appreciate nature because
No, he did
look
not.
what happened at the end. But
Industrious son of a bitch he became.
he was the strongest of the order, though.
Yeah, he was.
Saruman.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, yeah, he was the strongest of the order, Saruman the White. So obviously, they all have color distinctions. All of them had staffs, which seems to be
Staves.
well. It's
Staves
yeah.
is the plural of staff.
Oh, is it? Interesting.
Yes.
I did
Yeah.
not know that. Thank you for
Fun
teaching me
fun
that.
fact for you. Yeah. It's like knives
Good
and
to
knife.
know. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Neat. All right. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I learned something new today. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
fun fact. So there's something you could
I
actually
mean,
learn.
yeah. Well, I knew the word staves, but I just realized I just assumed it was a different word, but it's the exact same word, just the plural. Cool.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm
Do
gonna
they have
say
staves?
staffs in the future at some point, and you can correct me.
Yeah. I'd be like, actually, Sean.
Yeah, it'll
um,
come full circle.
so they all had staves, as well as a color distinction. Gandalf the Gray, Saruman the White, Radagast the Brown, and Alatar and Palando are both just known in the published works, besides the Silmarillion, as the Blue Wizard.
I mean, assuming they were the blue. I mean, maybe they
Yeah,
just liked blue beforehand and insisted that's the color they got.
maybe, yeah.
But it kind of
Uh,
implies they were of equal power. If
yeah, to each other, yeah, yeah.
yes, but Gandalf was the least of the order, right?
Um,
As the Gray.
I think Radagast was actually the least of the order because, well, if
I
you
mean,
ask
it's
if you ask Galadriel, Gandalf was the best one, and she
but
turned out to be
I think she
correct
meant
in the end.
um, of character, not
Mm.
of power, which is obviously not. It's power is very hard to quantify in Tolkien, as we've
It is,
mentioned.
especially with the wizards, because they're instructed. The Istari are instructed to not reveal themselves fully, which is to say that they're not supposed to do magic. Not a lot. Like there are certain situations where
Overt
it's okay.
shows
Yeah,
of magic.
exactly. Yeah, you're not supposed. Yeah, they're not supposed to be using their powers to defeat Sauron. The whole idea is that they
Inspire.
yeah, they inspire the free peoples. That's why they come to Middle Earth in the guise of older men, so that they are perceived as wise and less of a threat. So they're more likely to have their counsels heeded.
Yeah, and they're not seizing power for themselves. Saruman.
Saruman. Yeah. I don't remember exactly where this is, but I think it's written at some point, either in the Silmarillion, maybe it was Unfinished Tales, that the Blue Wizards themselves may have fallen into a similar trap as Saruman, but we just don't know. They could have failed and did everything that they were supposed to do and still failed. Or they did actually help when they went east. We really don't know. There's not much on them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can just talk about them now because there isn't much. Yeah, they basically went. If you're looking at a map, south of Mordor is Harad, and far Harad is sort of on the bottom, southeast corner.
Yeah,
they basically just kept going off the map.
Yeah. The famous map of Middle Earth. I mean, everybody pretty much knows Christopher Tolkien's version of it. That's the most commonly seen version of the map. It's just the west of Middle Earth. There's an entire part. There's a huge part of the continent that we really don't know anything, very little about.
All we really know is sort of what came from there, and that's evil, basically. I mean, originally men and elves and things like that, they came from the east, but they were sort of, I guess it's implied and stated in some places that they were sort of escaping from evil.
And I think the men of the east, the Easterlings, the Haradrim, the Corsairs of Umbar, these are all peoples from. The idea is that Sauron corrupted these people, and that's why they're fighting with him, because he's kind of dominated these regions.
But in the
not necessarily because these men are inherently evil, and by men, people is really what I mean.
They were corrupted. Well, originally in the first stage, there were Easterlings, which confusing because same name but a different group of people. It just meant men that came from the east, and they had succumbed to Morgoth's corruption originally. So it's kind of a similar deal. But anyway, the east of the map is uncharted territory. The Blue Wizards go into that territory and just never come back. That we know of.
Yeah, we can assume that at some point they do return to Valinor in one way or another, but that's all we know. I mean, there's just nothing really. There's nothing hard written about the Blue Wizards and what they actually did or didn't do.
It does leave an interesting opportunity that I don't have any sort of adaptations just for the two of them. But we might as well cover that now.
All right.
And a recast.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty lame.
I need a gavel. Okay, get me a gavel.
I promised you a gavel, and a gavel you shall have.
I just don't know. I mean, it has to be Amazon. I don't know where else to even get a gavel. But
I'm gonna buy a lathe, and I'm gonna make you one.
Wow, now that's dedication.
That would actually be really cool.
Yeah, it would. But so I was thinking about a recasting for this episode, and I briefly considered recasting Saruman, but
we can't.
I joked about recasting Gandalf, and that was painful for me to joke about, but I just simply can't replace Christopher Lee. He was
Christopher Lee was the perfect person to play Saruman.
Just a badass in every respect. The voice, the acting, the
the
knowledge of the books and everything.
Yeah, and just his charisma and presence. I mean, he was just perfect.
He's the only guy who met Tolkien.
Yeah, he did meet Tolkien. Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
as a boy, which
it's pretty neat. But apparently, he, I think this is a legend more than it is confirmed. But the legend is that Tolkien gave him permission to play Gandalf if there was ever a film version of Lord of the Rings made.
Well, he wanted to be Gandalf, but
he did.
Too good for Saruman.
He's too perfect. He didn't. Yeah.
I'm sure he would have been great as Gandalf too, but then who would have played Saruman?
A lesser actor. Yes. that's for sure.
Which is the point. Which is why we've decided instead to cast the Blue Wizards.
Yeah, the only wizards who have never been cast, actually. So I guess it's not so much a recast as much as just I demand a casting.
I demand a casting. And whatever adaptation they end up being. I mean, they could potentially be in Rings of Power. The timeline's all off.
Yeah.
Well, because they come in the Third Age.
So. Right. So we have an Istari that appears is going to be Gandalf. It certainly seems like that. That's what they seem to be hinting at in Rings of Power.
And he's a couple thousand years early.
He is. Yeah.
But let's not get into the Rings of Power timeline trap here.
It's a whole rabbit hole.
Yeah. I'll kick things off. I wanted to go for like a dynamic that just might be weird on screen, but I just wanted to see how it would work for this duo. More of a contentious dynamic. What do you think about Hall & Oates?
I'm a Hall & Oates fan, so I'm highly in favor of that. As long as they do Rich Girl. As long as they do Rich Girl, I'm in favor, and Maneater.
But they did not get along. I'm correct in that? Like towards the end of their career?
Well, I mean, they've been touring lately. I'm not really sure. I mean, Daryl Hall definitely became like the more popular of the two of them. John Oates is definitely the Garfunkel.
Yeah, so he's the Alatar, and then his buddy Palando.
Yeah, you can come to John Oates.
So yeah, I figured might bring a like interesting dynamic to those two. Not actors, but it could work. You got anything?
Yeah. I have a couple ideas. All right. So my initial idea, and I gotta tell you, this is inspired. Ooh. Tenacious D.
Oh,
Jack Black and Kyle Gass.
And now we have to make the Whiz Kids a thing.
I mean, they've already,
we're halfway really there. Happened. Yeah, Christopher Lee could sing.
We know Jack Black can sing.
Yeah, we got
Kyle Gass can rip a guitar. Yeah.
We just need Jack Black is now going to play like 3 different roles in the Legendarium so far. I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
We didn't even mention Tom. Yeah, he would be great as Tom Bombadil.
He really would. He's singy and silly, and I feel like that he's got the right energy to play Tom Bombadil. But that's not what we're talking about today.
Yeah, Tenacious D. No, that is inspired. You were right.
I was very proud of myself for that one.
I like how we've picked 2 musical groups, but at least they have acting chops.
Yeah. Well, my other pick is musical and can do acting.
Okay, let's hear it.
Cheech and Chong.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, do you think
Tommy Chong and Cheech Marin would be very, very funny blue wizards?
It would explain why they disappeared, because they just went out into the east, discovered hash, and just never came back.
They got lost. Yeah.
they're just smoking hashish out in the desert, and they just kind of got lost, and they just keep going further east. They're like, no, man, I swear, I
right
swear
around
we turned
here,
around.
Man.
We're going west right now, man. And they just keep going east. So, the sun sets in the in the western right. Okay, man. Sorry.
Oh man. Did you have another idea?
Yeah, I have
another
one
duo?
more.
Ooh,
and I know I said not to include this guy earlier, but The Rock and Kevin Hart. I just think it would be having an avatar. I mean, I feel like Kevin Hart's got big Palando energy.
Oh yeah, he's definitely the friend who gets brought along.
Yeah, he just sort of tags along, and then the Rock is just this powerful, wise wizard. Obviously, once again, a younger sort of take on the wizards, but
Alatar always flexing his pecs underneath his robes.
Yeah, his staff is just a barbell.
It's just a 45-pound bar.
Yeah.
And
so
Kevin Hart is a tiny little toothpick.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, he's just got an actual little stick. Yeah. So I mean, I think we've
a lot
got
of Philly guys for this. You have some Philadelphia guys. Kevin Hart and Hall and Oates are all Philadelphia fellas. So
yeah, you would Pennsylvania man over here would.
I mean,
know every celebrity from.
Let's get Questlove in there too, right?
Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, if they'll be at the bottom of the list. No,
not Bill Cosby.
I think we can just leave him. They can bring him with them and then just leave him in the desert as well. But,
yeah, that's right. Fuck you, Dr. Cosby.
Hard stance to take. But,
it's really not. I don't think it's a very controversial position to take.
Yeah, so I think we've got the pretty solid lineup.
We got options. And
I'm down to go for Tenacious D first, but that's only if Jack Black isn't
already Tom Bombadil or somebody else.
Yeah, it's one of the Valar or something.
Yeah, or which Valar did we cast him as?
I suggested him for Aule.
Yeah,
if we didn't have,
if we couldn't get Nick Offerman.
Yeah.
Still,
but Nick Offerman's just too good for that.
Yeah, I know he's a Tolkien fan, so.
So, do you want to talk about why each of the wizards failed and Gandalf succeeded?
Sure. Yeah. So, we covered the blue wizards pretty well. I think we don't know what happened to them. We just know that they did not succeed.
I mean, yeah, they just sort of were errant. They just sort of never succeeded in their own actual quest.
Yeah, no, they just didn't. Radagast the Brown he failed because he completely ignored the free peoples of Middle Earth.
Yeah,
supposed to help, and got really bogged down just hanging out with all the plants and the animals.
He's just a nature lover, man.
Yeah, he's easily distracted, and he just hanging out with the birds and the beasts instead.
I mean, he was just a hippie with ADHD, basically.
I mean, I find it
prevented him.
Yeah, I always found it odd that he didn't. I mean, Mirkwood's really not all that far because that's where he ended up living in Roscabel.
It's
in Mirkwood.
It's like in the edge of Mirkwood. It's actually very near.
Beorn's, right?
Well, it's I think south of Bjorn's house, but it's west of Amon Lank, which is Dol Guldur.
Right. Yeah.
It's not too far from there.
I think it's like northwest of Dol Guldur. Yeah, because that's already in the southwestern corner of Mirkwood. But but the point is, Fangorn's not all that far away, so it was kind of surprised me the idea that you'd think he would have gone and visited the Ents in Fangorn right?
Or at least done more for the forest.
Like, yeah, dumb. Yeah, I know. He really, it's like, orcs invaded Mirkwood, and we don't hear about Radagast doing a single damn thing about it.
Yeah, I mean, they were just sort
I
of like
mean,
you would hope he would just
giant
rally together an
spiders
army of woodland creatures.
yeah.
I mean, those spiders were big, but think about like 800 squirrels versus a
To
giant
take out a
spider.
spider, sure, yeah.
Yeah,
They could have done something.
just isolate them one at a time. I mean,
Yeah,
you're
there are bears. We know there are bears that are generally, at least they're certainly not evil if they're not particularly on anybody else's side. But they're not
yeah.
they're
I
not
mean, they
evil by
don't like
nature.
evil. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah,
but
Beorn's friends with them, and he hates orcs, and we know he's a good guy. So,
yeah, well,
but anyway, so that's
he's
why
a failure.
Radagast failed. He got bogged. He's a failure. Yeah, he got bogged down. Saruman is I think it's
Yeah,
fairly obvious why he failed because he allied himself with Sauron / tried to become Sauron. He tried
yeah.
to
I
get
was
the
gonna
ring
say
for himself.
Saruman basically thought he was better than
Oh
Sauron,
yeah.
and that he allied himself out of convenience, basically, just
Yeah,
assuming
he was
that men would lose.
yeah, he was hedging his bets. He didn't feel like the Free Peoples could overcome Sauron, so his idea was to either join / supplant Sauron and become. I mean, Saruman wouldn't think of himself as the new Dark Lord if he had obtained the One Ring, but that's exactly what he would have become.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I mean, I don't know how honest upfront he was with himself about it. I mean,
no, yeah, oh yeah, no, he was definitely believed that he would order things for the better. But
yeah. I mean, he's
so did
just had.
Sauron.
Yeah, I was
Sauron
gonna
thought
say he
the
had
same
very
thing.
similar
So.
ideals.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why it's interesting to point out that they were both, students or servants of Aule. That again, I don't think it's Aule's fault.
Yeah, he
but
just. I mean, the
but yeah,
dwarves were servants of, or sort of creations, and followed
yeah,
after Aule, and they
there were
were.
some wicked dwarves, but overall they're on the side of
I mean,
good.
yeah, I think it's just sort of like men. Elves
Yeah,
weren't really corruptible, but everybody else was
yeah,
open to it.
yeah. So yeah, Saruman, even if you forget everything that happened at Isengard, where he made all these armies of orcs and brought Dunlendings and everybody in to just fight the Free Peoples. Let's say forget all of that. After he's defeated there, he goes to the Shire and really screws up the whole place.
Yeah,
Just out of
I
spite.
mean,
Just out of spite.
yeah, I guess he got mad after he failed at failing to do his job.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he
He
really
failed to
took it
do his
personally.
job. Yeah, just started going off doing his own thing. Failed at that, and then
Yeah.
succeeded in really messing things up, but then ultimately failed again.
Yeah, he gets himself shanked, so yeah.
And let that be a lesson.
Yeah. Don't hang
being
out with
being
Grima
a jerk.
Wormtongue.
Well, that too. Being a jerk doesn't pay, but also don't hang out with Grima.
And definitely don't bully him to the point where he wants to stab you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe just like a flat don't bully people.
Yeah, I think that's a good message for everybody, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what we get from this.
Yeah.
But then
Gandalf,
Gandalf,
the only one who succeeds because, well, I mean, y'all have seen the movie.
Yeah, he's the man.
Yeah, he does exactly what he's supposed to do, does it very well, does it so well, in fact, that he dies and gets brought back with a power bump.
Yeah, I mean, he becomes the most powerful of all of them after he comes back.
Yeah, he takes Saruman's place as the
well, it should be mentioned.
Sorry,
in the movies, I don't think they even cover it, but in the book, I don't know if they do in the extended edition, but Saruman basically rejects the color of his order. He calls himself Saruman of the many colors. He wears like a glittering rainbow robe. Yeah,
which Gandalf, when he first sees him, does not realize that it's multicolored. He thought he was still clad in white until he moved and saw the shimmer of his cloaks, and it was all this multicolored kind of. I'm imagining sort of like an oil slick, when you look at it in different lights and it's
Yeah.
moving, something like
He
that.
got the holographic robes on.
Yeah, Saruman of the holograph. Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
sort of just represents his overall. It was like he was
Rejection of his duty, really.
yeah. I mean, that was what he was assigned of in his order by the gods, and he just decided he was better than that.
Yeah.
Right. Another case of people who should know better and know that the gods are real and exist, just not listening to what they say.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Numenor. But
we'll
table that
our
for
fair's
another
on.
episode.
Our fair's on.
So speaking of Gandalf, I actually have a Mad Men of the West lined up for us. We've got a sponsor, Zerb.
All right, that's great news. Who's the sponsor for our future adaptations?
Yeah,
yeah. I knew not to get my hopes up that it was a sponsor for our show.
No, of course not. I think I would probably not bring that up on the show, but
yeah, I've been burned before.
So I don't know if you remember these ad campaigns from. I mean, I think they were earlier than this as well, but around the turn of the millennia. Mm-hmm. Weird way to put it, but around the late 90s, Gandalf tells us to always follow our nose. You know who else used to say that?
Who's that?
Toucan Sam. We're getting sponsored by Fruit Loops.
All right. I mean, they are kind of cool. They are rings.
Yeah, it's also tangentially related, and I think so. I think we're down in Moria, and Gandalf's just like he's lost. He can't figure out which way to go. He doesn't remember. I have no memory of this place. And then he sits down, and I think we might do it like a twist on it. No, he sits down, he looks over at Frodo, and he says, "When in doubt, always follow your nose." And he just pulls out a bowl of Fruit Loops and just starts eating them. And then I don't think that the ad people probably want us to imply anything about the crazy sugar content, but he gets a rush of energy.
Well, it's also made with whole grains, and it's part of a healthy breakfast.
Yeah, with 4 servings of fruit and like an omelet, like a Greek omelet, and
and a bran
and
muffin,
small bowl of Fruit Loops in the corner.
Yeah, very healthy part of a breakfast.
Yes, it is a small part of a balanced breakfast, but wait, I haven't seen cereal commercials in a while, but
nor I.
They're gonna have to start doing embedded branding, basically.
I mean, I also haven't watched live television in years, so
yeah, it's a good. It does make this segment hard because I don't know what.
Yeah, well, that's why it's product placement, man. That's
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be hard to get like Ford Fusion into.
Yeah, especially since we already have Wrangler.
Wrangler.
As our vehicle sponsor, at least for the Rohirrim. So I think it's a great idea. I think it's a fantastic idea.
Thank you. Yeah.
And we do know Gandalf does have like a slightly larger than average nose, so it kind of works. He can play our Toucan Sam.
Yeah,
he's take the place of. Yeah.
Certainly can evoke him. Yeah,
Toucan Samdolf.
Toucan
Samdolf.
All right, listen,
you could have just let it go. You could have just let it go, Sean.
I'm sorry for dragging that bit back out into the light.
Yeah, it was. Look, I swung big, and it was a big strike. It's just what it is.
All right, moving on. So, is there anything else you wanted to touch on with the Wizards, or should I get on to my last reoccurring segment here?
Yeah, I think that covers it for the Wizards for now. I mean, they'll certainly be mentioned again. I mean, as we
Yeah.
were saying before the show, we could give a whole big long segment to just Gandalf, and we probably will because
Yeah.
he's our favorite.
Yeah, he is.
But I think that's all right for the Istari for now.
All right, well then, choo choo. We're pulling into Adaptation Station.
All right, let's do it. What do you have for us today, Sean, with Adaptation Station?
I'm not even going to couch it. Wizard Tank. So imagine
Shark Tank?
Yes, Shark Tank, but with the 5 wizards sitting in front of you.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. And
that's a tough audience. I think that's harder than the actual Shark Tank.
Yeah. So we got Wizard Tank, where the wise pass judgment on your ventures, your branding, and your plans to save Middle Earth. So I think it's sort of a catch-all. It's not just how do we save Middle Earth, and it's not just here's my entrepreneurial idea. It's just both, and it's just sort of randomly peppered throughout the episode.
All right.
This is like, you know what? Gimli comes on first thing, and he's like, I think I should just hit the ring with an axe. And they're like, you fucking idiot. That's not how this works.
Gimli, you dumbass.
And they're like, you know what? Just try it. and he does it, and it doesn't work. And it's like, all right, well, that's why we're the wizards, and we sit over here, and you sit over there. And then, Merry and Pippin come on, and they're like, hey, we want to open a tavern in the Shire where they sell pints. And the other ones are like, what are you even? And then Gandalf's like, hey, you know what? That's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, I'm in.
I'm in. I'll
invest.
I'll invest. I don't know if they even have money. Money is, I don't think ever even discussed.
Well, no, it is. It is very briefly discussed in Lord of the Rings and I just listened to a podcast. I don't remember who it was, so I can't shout you out. It might have been the Tolkien Road. Shout out okay. If it was you. But,
I'll shout out either way.
Yeah, but they pointed out that one of the few places where currency is mentioned is in Bree, when Barlaman buys Bill the pony for Strider and the Hobbit. For a certain amount of silver pennies. I don't remember the exact, the precise amount, but so silver pennies is used in Bree at least.
All right, we'll give you 5,000 silver pennies to start your business. I don't know. Are there gold pennies or shillings? You
would assume, but
I would assume it is a British sort of currency. I mean, pennies are
a British sounding currency for sure.
Yeah, certainly.
But it's actually interesting to think about. That's for how fleshed out this whole world is. Currency is barely mentioned at all, other than just like gold is valuable. We know that.
Yeah. I mean, he just doesn't really.
Mithril is valuable, but
he doesn't really get into any nitty gritty in his world. It's all sort of grand stuff. They barely ever mention food. They barely ever mention money.
Yeah,
there's basically no mention of trade, anything like that.
I mean, trade's mentioned at least in the Hobbit, like Dale trades with the dwarves and everything. Like we know that there is trade,
but it never gets granular. It's not like
we're not. There's no exchange rates mentioned or anything.
No, but it's not like George R. R. Martin or something where the world is very like gritty and granular. And more realistic. It's it's a fairy story. It's not meant. You're not meant to be worried about the little details like that. It's sort of
you just assume that there is some currency that is used some places. I mean, you could argue, and in fact, I would argue that the Shire, there's probably not too much exchange of actual currency. It seems like it's kind of this like
bartering sort of stuff a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's like bartering and like a community thing. Like they know they all know each other, so like they're not going to let their neighbors starve if they're not as well off. It's like they're not necessarily So it's hard to say. I hesitate to use the word like an anarchical society because anarchy is such like
it's a commune.
negative.
The Shire is a commune.
But yeah, effectively, I think that's a fair thing to say, that it is kind of a commune, that they live together in peace because they just look out for each other for the most part.
Maybe it's communal, not a commune. There's a difference there.
Well, I mean, yeah, but the same root word.
Yeah.
But even so, it comes down to community. They take care of each other in the Shire.
So I think in this
anyway.
I think maybe they just don't. Money's not even involved. It's just sort of like, you know what? That is a good idea. It's like, you should do that. And they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, Gandalf will put a blessing on your beer, just like he did for Barley in Barlam and Butterbeer.
So I think that's basically it for us then.
Yeah.
Would you
Wizard
like to... Wizard Tank. Would you like to bring us home with a font of information here?
Okay, yeah. I actually do have something prepared for this today.
Wow.
So today's episode's Tolkien fun fact. Tolkien loved ballpoint pens. He hated fountain pens because they always leaked on him, and he always made a mess of them with his hands. He only ever used Bic ballpoint pens.
Oh, Bic.
Bic specifically, that was his favorite one. Yeah,
they're
cheap. They come
the
in
way you're saying
like 100.
It just seems like that. I hate to say it, it just seems untrue the way you're saying it.
Does it seem untrue?
No, it sounds like you've come to us with a wonderful Tolkien fact.
Listen, I spent hours researching this. How dare you accuse me of half-assing this segment?
Hours on the ballpoint. Okay. Well then, thank you.
I'm a slow reader.
It's slow to read the Wikipedia page.
I just sound out big words like pen. Is that how you say it? Is that its pronunciation?
Yes. We're no philologists here, but
no, we're not.
The tough stuff to the big guy himself. So,
yeah.
Would you like to tell the people where they can reach us and stuff?
Yeah,
like that?
If anybody wants to contact us with questions, comments, concerns, complaints, just showering us with praise about how great we are, you can do so at Lord of the Wrongs Podcast at gmail.com. That's Lord of the Wrongs Podcast at gmail.com.
Well, with that, I guess we say Namarie.
Namarie, friends. We'll see you next time.